All right. So for the parts we're ashamed about, maybe I have a little, what do you call them? A little fat tire. What do you call them when you have a little belly? Whatever it is that I don't like about myself. Maybe my teeth are bad, or I'm losing my hair, or wrinkles, or I've failed at my business or my relationships, or whatever it is. I'm lonely. I'm, everyone out there has figured something out, relationships or children or success or good looks or whatever it is, and I haven't. So that's where we have to make friends with the bad parts of ourselves, the failure, the shame, the whatever it is. And then, what's the quote from Suzuki Roshi, Molly? You're perfect as you are. I want you to take this into your heart, Kay, Nicole, Janice. You're perfect as you are. Just as you are, Linnea, Crystal. You're perfect just as you are. And you could stand some improvement. Well, the only way, so that's a wonderful resolution for you, Crystal, for this year. I wish I had more of being true to myself, and I will continue to work on that. And when I fail, that's fine. I'll keep working on it. When I succeed, that's fine. I'll keep working on it. I'm lovable just as I am. But Kay, there's that second part to it. And you could use a little improvement. So Suzuki Roshi wrote a wonderful book. I recommend everyone go out and buy a used copy. Used is much more eco, and you're supporting a local bookshop, hopefully, called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Do we have a link to Suzuki Roshi's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind on Elephant? I think we do, Molly. So I think it's actually, we quote Suzuki Roshi and Pema both in one blog. Maybe you could share that one if you can find both of them. So why is that quote so wonderful? You're perfect as you are. I'm perfect as I am. That takes some pride, some foundation, some strength, some being willing to be great. And then Molly, maybe you could put that Marianne Williamson quote in there. That Marianne Williamson quote is, why hide your light under a bushel? Why pretend not to be fabulous? You are fabulous, just as you are. And your dimming your own light doesn't do anyone else any favors. That quote was huge for me as a young man, because I had grown up to be a bit ashamed about who I was. Told to be less this and more that and less that, and you're not enough here. And then I read that quote, Marianne Williamson, not a Buddhist, right? Now I've interviewed her a few times on Elephant. And we could put those links in. So Molly, you're getting link homework. If we put these links in, please open them and read them later, if so inspired. So exactly, Linnea, and Marianne Williamson goes on to say, and shining your own light gives others permission to shine theirs. And there's a shamelessness about it that is beautiful. At the same time, it's good to feel shame about other things, right? There's a fellow who is in the political scene that some of you might think of when I say this, who is utterly shameless. And that's not a good quality. So it's good to be shameless about our own okayness and goodness, and we're perfect as we are-ness. And it's okay to feel a little bit of shame, not too much, not melodrama, but some shame about if we're cruel, if we're lying, if we're ghosting people, if we're hurting others, if we're being narcissistic, if we're not listening to others' criticisms that are well-intentioned, right? It's okay to feel a little bit of regret. Maybe regret is an easy word for people. A little bit regret about where we've been hurtful to ourselves, if not others. If you just look for a link with Suzuki Roshi and Pema, I think it's like the Buddhist notion of loneliness. They're both in there. So, where were we? So we are perfect as we are, and we could stand some improvement. So that is the New Year's resolution foundation, is to say, I am okay with myself. I'm okay with what I'm excellent at. What's one thing you're excellent at? Crystal, Linnea, does everyone want to put down one thing you're good at? Just write one thing you're good at. I'll write one thing I'm good at. What am I good at? Just one word. What's one thing you're good at? It doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. It could be knitting. It can be bicycling. It can be making friends. It can be reading. It can be taking baths, writing, painting. Just one word. Bonding with children, listening. There. That might be I think Suzuki Roshi is in one of those. Organizing. Anyone else? I'm so shy. Now, a New Year's resolution or Maitri is not going to be accomplished if we're multitasking, right? So if you are here, just be willing to be simple. Be willing to put your phone on airplane mode if you're distracted, unless you're on your phone, in which case you need that. Playing Barbies with your nieces, that counts as one word. Encouraging, organizing. All right. So you're perfect as you are. Be okay with that. And you could stand some improvement. Now let's write down something where we're not so good. We're not happy with ourselves. And we want to be able to make friends with what we're good at, feel proud about it, but not overly desperately proud. And we want to write down something now that we're not good at, that we're also, our duty this year is to make friends with that thing. But what am I not good at? You don't need to do one word, but it needs to be one sort of thing. So I wrote making friends with mistakes I've made in my life. I just have a way of sort of beating myself up about it because I can't resolve them because they're past, right? And maybe they're not awful, like, everyone's fine, but I'm still kind of feel bad about it. Putting yourself first, that's something you're bad at. Saying no is something you're bad at. Sometimes too communicative, sometimes too little. So not enough or too much communication, bad at. Janine, teaching yoga. In some way you're not happy with how good you are at doing that or successful at it or whatever it is. Finishing projects, staying on task, public speaking, fostering relationships. So everyone, just give that thing a big hug. Making friends with my own mistakes in my life. Just hug it out. Now, this isn't some cheesy bypassing thing. This is tough work to make friends with the parts of ourselves that we're not happy about. And at the same time, make friends with the parts of ourselves that we're a little bit desperately, exploitatively proud about. The idea is we don't need drama with either. We can be open and honest and warm about both. Does this make sense? I'm okay with, or I'm trying to make friends with, my inability to let go of mistakes I've made in the past, and I'm okay with being great at building or developing community or connecting with community. So if you're understanding that, this is a sort of verbal walkthrough of the foundation of Maitri. In Elephant Academy, which is Elephant Journal's online school, where we teach writing, we teach Maitri practice. Maitri, what is Maitri? Anyone know who's done this stuff before? Put it in your own words if you like. Maitri is just making friends with yourself, the parts of yourself you don't like, the parts of yourself that you do like. What is Maitri? Maybe a good quote is always nice. Oh, I have quotes here. Molly gave me a bunch. So without, well, they're great quotes, but there's so many good quotes here. Molly should just put in all those quotes from the agenda. Unconditional friendliness with yourself. Love that. Learning to love yourself, including the bad. Love that. And the good. Contentment. Making friends with yourself. These are all good explanations. So I want to be really clear, folks. I want to be really clear that Maitri is something you can talk about, like I'm doing, and you're doing. We're all discussing it. But that's not enough. It's a little bit like talking about a book, right? It's like talking about a book. It's like talking about music. My mom just sent me CDs. I don't even know if I have a CD player. It's like talking about music, talking about a book, talking about coffee. It's like talking about a relationship. It's like talking about cleaning up my desk. It's like talking about life, talking about making friends with ourselves in a good and in the good way, in the parts of ourselves that we love and the parts of ourselves that we don't. So is it useful to talk about ourselves, to talk about change, to talk about making friends with ourselves? Is it useful to talk about resolutions? Is it useful to talk about staying in pain? Is it? I think people are reading the quotes maybe. Sometimes yes, from Nicole. Is it useful to talk about food if you're hungry? Is it useful to talk about water if you're thirsty? Is it useful to talk about going outside on a sunny day? Anyone? Jan says, I think so. Nicole says, well, no, because you just need to do it. So obviously, when we go to a restaurant, we talk about what we want to eat, right? And then we order. So yeah, sure. It is useful to talk about something, but then you got to do it. So yes, it creates a mindset, but also no, because you have to do it. Talking about a book is not reading a book. But talking openly, as Linnea says, about something relieves the shame around it. But is it enough? No. In Buddhism, talking or studying or discussing or debating is part of the path. But as Nicole says, if you're hungry, talking about the eating isn't going to make the hunger go away, but deciding, talking about what you want to order off the menu or what restaurant you want to go to is a vital part, or going to the grocery is a vital part of going to the grocery or ordering. Talking to yourself or talking things out, being open about stuff is vital, but it's not enough. So what is the second component in the Buddhist path of Maitri? Anyone know? And without it, it's not enough. Talking is not enough, but it's great. Anyone? Action. What's the Buddhist term in this sense for Maitri? Believing in yourself, sort of inner work. Anyone else? It's a P word. Present is good. Persistence is good. 2 syllables. Starts with a P. Practice. So meditation is not something you do once. It's not something you talk about only. You can talk about it. It's something you practice. So Maitri is not enough to talk about it. It's not enough to talk about it. It's not enough to think about it. You actually have to do it. And that's in the Buddha's 4 Immeasurables. If you open that link. Yeah, you got it, Mama. You got it, Linnea. So something you actually have to practice. Again, that's what we do. And I think some of you have done it in Elephant Academy in the Maitri program. So when you do Maitri, as Pema wrote or said, when you start to meditate or to work with any kind of spiritual discipline, people often think that somehow they're going to improve, right? And that is the mistake that we make with these New Year's resolutions. We want to improve in some way. But the New Year's resolutions in Maitri, the Buddha's 4 New Year's resolutions, the 4 Immeasurables, they are about not improving, but kind of letting go of improving, making friends with being perfect as we are, again, as Suzuki Roshi said, and then we can actually improve. So this is not about self-help in the sense of improving. This is not about bypassing. This is not about self-aggression. Oh, I'm so stupid. If only I could lose 5 pounds, then I wouldn't be lonely. Whatever it is. And I'm not making fun of that because we all feel that way about whatever it is. We have to do the tough work, Linnea, of acceptance. But that doesn't just happen by saying we accept something. It's not just, what do you call them? When you look in the mirror, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. That's maybe a start, but it's not enough. And it's something we make fun of because if that's all you do, it's hollow, it's bypassing. So the only true New Year's resolution is founded on Maitri. The only true New Year's resolution is about going in and then out, not out and then failing. The only true New Year's resolution is about making friends with our failures, making friends with our successes, both. Then going in, doing the actual work of Maitri, which is the Maitri practice that we do in Elephant Academy, that they do on the Buddhist path, that you can read about in books. Do it ideally as a community together where we can ask questions. And then having made friends with yourself, you can then improve. And that's really powerful because then we actually can change ourselves. We can change our life. Really exciting. Why is that so exciting? I remember being 16 and doing Shambhala training. I think the first of one of the advanced courses or one of the assemblies. And actually like meditating, actually kind of getting it, going outside, looking at the world. I've talked about this in other Elephant Academies, looking at the world and saying, wow, the world is really bright and colorful today. And did the world change? Or did I change? I changed. I woke up a little bit to what was there all the time. The world is trying to show up for us, or is showing up for us all the time. But we're so caught up in our preconceptions, our prejudgments, our thought patterns, many of which are well-intentioned. I wish I could improve. I should lose 5 pounds, blah, blah, blah. So even the ways that we're trying to resolve to improve our lives are part of the obstacle. And that's why the anti-New Year's resolution, which is to not give into the self-aggressive path of I would be happy if only I could do X or Y or Z. But let me make friends with right here first, perfect as I am. And then I could stand some improvement. And here's how I can improve. So that's basically it. We can go through some more stuff, but that's basically it. That if you're going to make a resolution this year, have it be Maitri. Maitri is not in and of itself a resolution, but it is making friends with yourself, and then you can improve. Then you can show up fully for yourself and for others in your life and our world.